Hello beautiful friends, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be planting out one of my favorite herbs of all time. In fact, it was the very first thing that I ever grew successfully that pretty much launched me into small space gardening, and that is going to be sweet basil. Now at the time all I had wanted was pesto. So of course, you know, I grabbed the cheapest pot that I could at the local Walmart, cheapest soil that I could at the local Walmart, and I grabbed a basil plant out of their garden center and put it into the pot, and lo and behold, I was able to make enough pesto for 3 years. Kid you not. It was a really big pot though, guys, okay? Cut me some slack. So today what we are going to do is we are going to plant our basil here, not in a pot, although you can definitely do that if that is what your space requires you to do. Don't be afraid to do so. But we are going to be putting it in our bed here because we have already planted out a tomato plant here. That is going to be our yellow pear tomato plant, and honestly, tomatoes and basil, they are amazing companion plants. Not only does basil help prevent the typical pests that like to terrorize your tomato plants, but the basil and the tomato actually encourage each other to grow. So there's a little bit of a symbiotic relationship there that defies explanation, but is absolutely delicious. So just roll with it, okay? So let's go on ahead and get this guy planted out. Doesn't really require a whole lot of anything actually. So let me go on ahead and walk you through this procedure, okay? Let's go. All right, now as I mentioned, planting out basil is pretty darn easy. This guy has actually kind of started to really get a little bit springy, probably because we've had some 80-degree days. So what I will end up doing is I will also end up trimming this guy off to help him to bush out. I'll show you that here in a second, but for now let's go on ahead and get this guy into the ground because he's looking like he's starting to get a little root bound. Not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. So break it up like so, dig a hole, and you will notice I am not adding any kind of amendments to this herb at all. It doesn't really need it. That is the good thing about herbs. They require very, very little attention and very little special treatment. Now I am going to come down here, and you see where these, let me get this stalk kind of angled out here. Okay, you see this kind of like V that's going on here? I'm just going to break off this basil right there at the top. And what that's going to do is encourage the plant to bush instead of get leggy. Now, if you have ever experimented with growing basil and your basil has gotten leggy, this is really something that you should do to help encourage more basil production, because the taller it gets, the less actual basil leaves you end up having. And honestly, it kind of starts to look a little like mangy. It doesn't act real happy, and then it kind of dies. So ask me how I know that another day. Or you can ask me down below in the comments, whatever. I'll tell you what happened with that happily at some point. But if you really, really want to have some good, bushy, big basil, don't be afraid to get in there and to trim your basil, because that's really what's going to encourage it to fill out and give you the most basil leaves. That's really what's going to encourage it to fill out and give you a ton of basil during your garden season. So go on ahead and try those tips. See if this ends up helping you be a little bit more successful with your basil growth. And I am going to go on ahead and I'm going to link a video here at the end on starting your own herb garden. If you are interested in herb gardening, wanting to know more about herb gardening, I do have some content around that. So I will go on ahead and include that down here at the end of the video. And don't forget to grab my free small gardening guide so that you can get your garden started in just 3 days. And as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.